Shenanigans in the Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, Courthouse presents Thelma's story. The court documents that you are about to see are real. The people are real. The story is real. This is a Shenanigans alert. As background, Thelma is 78 years old and resides in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. David Jaskowiak is not related to Thelma. David Jaskowiak is not a friend of Thelma's. David Jaskowiak is an attorney who practices in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. David Jaskowiak took it upon himself to submit a petition to deem Thelma incapacitated, under the guise of protecting Thelma from her family. David Jaskowiak's proof that Thelma needs protection is Thelma changing her power of attorney paperwork. Thelma has several family members who would be willing to fulfill the role of guardian if required. However, David Jaskowiak recommends a complete stranger, since he alleges the family has possibly attempted financial exploitation. In Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, no proof of wrongdoing is required. No proof of financial exploitation by the family is required. All that is required is an attorney who claims that it's a possibility. In David Jaskowiak's petition to deem Thelma incapacitated, he recommended a complete stranger, Erin McDevitt, be the guardian of Thelma's person and Thelma's estate. For review, read more about Erin McDevitt's behavior in Michael Volpe's first article concerning guardianship abuse in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, at the online news source The Rebel Pundit. David Jaskowiak has a secret. He also has no proof that any family member of Thelma's tried to financially exploit her, but he uses this alleged possible attempt to petition the courts to deem Thelma incapacitated and request a complete fee-based stranger be her guardian. David Jaskowiak claims if a fee-based professional guardian isn't appointed, there is a risk of depletion of Thelma's assets. Common sense dictates that assigning a stranger to bill Thelma's estate for guardianship services will deplete Thelma's estate. David Jaskowiak explains how he got involved in Thelma's case, not because he is her friend, not because he is her family, but at the behest of another attorney. David Jaskowiak charges Thelma to write a petition to have Thelma deemed incapacitated. David Jaskowiak submitted his petition on September 12, a week prior to the emergency hearing. However, David Jaskowiak didn't notify Thelma until 2 days prior to the emergency hearing, giving her little time to prepare a defense for herself. On the day of the hearing, Judge Lois Murphy presided. Excerpts from the court transcripts will be revealed in chronological order coming up. In the beginning of the transcripts, it shows that 2 family members were involved and concerned about Thelma, since they hired attorneys for representation in the matter. The family members are Thelma's brother Fred and Thelma's niece Carol. Attorney and petitioner, David Jaskowiak, chose the doctor to conduct the medical evaluation to determine if Thelma was incapacitated. On page 6 of 28 in the court transcripts, the family's attorneys question the validity of the medical evaluation. Carol's attorney states that Thelma is not incapacitated. Attorney David Jaskowiak chose Dr. Rosenzweig to evaluate Thelma. Dr. Rosenzweig is not Thelma's usual doctor. Carol's attorney wanted to put a qualifier on the submittal of Dr. Rosenzweig's evaluation, but Judge Lois Murphy read the testimony and then cut off Thelma's niece's attorney mid-sentence to announce that she was going to deem Thelma incapacitated. This occurred on page 9 of 28 in the court transcripts. As a review, on page 6 of 28 in the court transcripts, Thelma's family objected to Thelma being deemed incapacitated. On pages 7 and 8, Judge Lois Murphy read Dr. Rosenzweig's findings, claiming Thelma was incapacitated. On page 9, Judge Lois Murphy declares she will deem Thelma incapacitated. On page 13 of the transcripts, it is revealed that Thelma is in the courtroom. This means that Judge Lois Murphy never once conversed with Thelma to determine for herself if Thelma was indeed incapacitated and in need of an emergency guardian. On page 13 of 28 in the court transcripts, David Jaskowiak stated that after the hearing, he would introduce Thelma to her court-appointed fee-based guardian, Erin McDevitt. Erin McDevitt is a total stranger to Thelma, and Erin McDevitt will have total control of Thelma's life, including where she lives and her assets. The very assets which, as seen earlier, were kept secret from Thelma's family. On page 15 of 28 of the court transcripts, David Jaskowiak, who isn't family or a friend of Thelma's, but petitioned the courts to have her deemed incapacitated, continues to state how concerned he is that the family would have any paperwork that states they have power of attorney for Thelma. On page 18 of 28, Judge Lois Murphy states that without Erin McDevitt, total stranger of Thelma, being the court-appointed fee-based guardian, Thelma's assets are at significant risk. Recall, there was no proof in the records of financial exploitation by the family. The records only show an allegation by attorney David Jaskowiak, an attorney who will profit off his allegations against the family in his petition to deem Thelma incapacitated. Previously, Carol's attorney stated that he didn't believe that Thelma was incapacitated. On page 21 of 28 of the court transcripts, Thelma's niece's attorney states that he wants an independent medical evaluation. He wants an evaluation by a doctor other than Dr. Rosenzweig, who was the chosen doctor by attorney David Jaskowiak. On page 22 of 28 of the court transcripts, attorney David Jaskowiak opposes the request of Carol's niece's attorney for a second medical evaluation, which would have the potential to conclude that Thelma is not incapacitated, a conclusion that would eliminate the need of the court-appointed people to bill Thelma's estate for their claims services. Attorney David Jaskowiak inserted himself into Thelma's life without her approval by petitioning the courts to have her deemed incapacitated. In the middle of the emergency hearing, David Jaskowiak appoints himself as Thelma's attorney also. Now, the very person who will profit by having Thelma deemed incapacitated is also Thelma's legal representation, all done without Thelma's approval. In the newly presumed role as Thelma's attorney, David Jaskowiak objects to a second medical evaluation that could have the potential to show that Thelma is not incapacitated. This occurred on page 22 and 23 of the court transcripts. Judge Lois Murphy not only allowed this behavior, but encouraged this behavior in her courtroom. Thelma's niece's attorney states that he has concerns that the doctor, who attorney David Jaskowiak chose to evaluate Thelma, may not be so independent. Additionally, Thelma's niece's attorney suggested that Thelma be evaluated by her regular physician instead of by a physician who is routinely appointed by the courts. This occurred on page 24 of 28 of the court transcript. Recall, attorney David Jaskowiak is a total stranger to Thelma, but he petitioned the courts to deem Thelma incapacitated and also assigned himself to represent Thelma in the middle of the hearing. On page 26 of the court transcripts, Thelma's niece's attorney explains how he thought he was representing Thelma since he was presented a valid power of attorney document by Thelma's niece, Carol. On page 27 of the court transcripts, Judge Lois Murphy acknowledges that there are problems when there are conflicts of interest. However, Judge Lois Murphy does not acknowledge that there is a conflict of interest when an attorney, 1. submits a petition to have a person deemed incapacitated, 2. picks the doctor to do the evaluation, 3. picks the fee-based guardian, and then, 4. appoints himself to represent the alleged incapacitated person during the emergency hearing. In Judge Lois Murphy's final decree, she deems Thelma incapacitated and appoints a total stranger to control Thelma's life and bill Thelma's estate for her services. Erin McDevitt, total stranger of Thelma, will decide where Thelma resides, what she will eat, and what recreation will be provided. Erin McDevitt, total stranger of Thelma, will have the authority to consent to medical treatments and surgical procedures. Erin McDevitt, total stranger to Thelma, will bill Thelma's estate outrageous fees, causing the depletion of Thelma's estate. Attorney David Jaskowiak petitioned the courts to have Thelma deemed incapacitated. In his petition, he suggested Erin McDevitt be her fee-based guardian, instead of a power of attorney of Thelma's choosing. Judge Lois Murphy approves the first of many bills that Thelma must pay out of her estate to Erin McDevitt on January 26, 2015. Erin McDevitt's first bill is for over $3,000. Attorney David Jaskowiak is not a friend of Thelma. Attorney David Jaskowiak is not family of Thelma. Attorney David Jaskowiak did not petition the court on behalf of any friend or family of Thelma. David Jaskowiak petitioned the courts on behalf of himself to have Thelma deemed incapacitated. As a result of his petition, David Jaskowiak has extorted $9,457.90 from Thelma, which is paid forcibly by court orders from Judge Lois Murphy. Is there a criminal racket in the Montgomery County, Pennsylvania courthouse? Shenanigans in the Montgomery County, Pennsylvania courthouse is dedicated to exposing the alleged criminal racket that exploits the citizens of Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. The views in this presentation are the opinion of the narrator, which are protected by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution.